Hello, everyone. That's all looking down at their computers. Welcome to the May Metrics meeting. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sati. I sit on the Community Resources team within Community Engagement, and I will be your DJ SATI for this metrics meeting. The theme this meeting is going to be something that's become a growing part of our conversations over the last few years and definitely come to the forefront recently, and that is inclusivity. You know, how we don't just say everyone can edit, but actually create welcoming and safe spaces for people. How we don't just say everyone can participate, but ensure that their voices, their ideas, and their contributions are seen, discussed, amplified, reconstructed, improved in a way that makes them feel that they are a part of the space that they occupy. And so what will be a movement update from Maria Cruz, who will talk us through some work going on with Wikimed and Art Plus Feminism. Then Joe will talk us through some work that's going on with the collaborations team. And then Emily Templewood, or as you might know her user, Kaylana, and Aaron Haffaker are going to talk about an interesting story of the intersection of their work that's been going on over the last few months. And then our wonderful ED will have an executive update, and then I'll DJ us through some Q&A and Wiki Love, which I expect Wiki Love from all y'all. So with that, welcome to a few new people who have joined us recently. Eileen, James, and Valona, who join us in legal and T&C. Welcome. As well as Sohyun, Dina, Deanna, Alex, and Lisa, who are joining us across the board in product, legal, and talent and culture. And anniversaries. So for those of you who don't know me, I suck at names. So I did research to ask people how to say their names, because my names get butchered all the time. I also usually don't know all the people who sit on the slide, so I've just kind of added where they sit. So if I'm wrong, that's Meta's fault, just saying. So at 8 years, we have our anniversary for Roan, who sits in editing. At 6 years, Pat's in fundraising, Maggie in community engagement, Daniel in technical ops, and Katie Horn in discovery and fundraising tech. And then at 5 years, Sabu, who also sits in editing. And a lot of people still to go. So Anna Lance in talent and culture, and Dros in technical ops. Congratulations on being here 4 years. And then at 3 years, these are a lot of names. Filippo in technical ops, Bernd in reading, Mukunda, and Daniel in release engineering. Abby in design research, Maria in learning and evaluation, Elena in talent and culture, and Dylan in fundraising tech. Woo! Congratulations. More to come. Volker in editing, Casey in fundraising tech, Jaime in technical ops, Sam in ed in communications, Benoit and Johan in the community liaisons team, Darian in security, and Joe in support and safety. 2 years with us. And last but not least, Vahid in education, Leon in community tech, and Joe in mobile apps. Congrats. And Emily just pounding in the background. We love you. Love, wiki love, all the time. So then I'm going to hand this off to Maria Cruz, who's going to walk us through a movement update.
Hi. Happy 25 de Mayo to any Argentinians who are watching this, and Muriel, who might or might not be here. My name is Maria Cruz. I'm Communications Manager at the Community Engagement Department. Never know where to stand here. And for the movement update today, we have two community presenters, Shani Evanstein, who is a medical educator at Tel Aviv University and also vice chair of the user group Wiki Project Medicine Foundation, and Mackenzie Mack, who is co-lead of the Art Plus Feminism Global Campaign. So without any further ado, Shani, you are first.
Hi guys, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Perfect. So thanks, Maria. I'm very happy to be here today to present Wikimed, which is an academic 4-credit elective course that I've designed and lead since 2013. To understand why Wikimed is important, consider two things. The first is that Wikipedia has become the #1 source for medical information online. However, we're still very far from good coverage of medical info. English Wiki has about 35,000 articles, but other languages are very far behind. Hebrew, for example, has less than 3,000. The second is that from an educational point of view, Wikipedia can help medical students develop skills, literacies, and competencies that are required from tomorrow's physicians. However, to do that, we need time with students. While we have many educational collaborations worldwide, we're usually limited to 1 to 2 meetings, which is simply not enough. Next slide, please. That is why I developed a first of its kind semester-long course that is dedicated to creating high-quality medical content while helping students develop various skills that are needed in the 21st century. So far, the course had about 4 iterations in which my students wrote over 200 medical articles, which is about 8% of medical content in Hebrew. And those articles got about 4 million page views. So that's actual impact. As you can see, in addition to writing articles, we focused on various skills, and the result is a very positive and impactful learning experience for students. Next slide, please. The course is being inclusive on various levels. First, almost 50% are women, which is great. And students speak a variety of mother tongues, Hebrew, Arabic, Russian, and French, so quite a diverse crowd, just the way we like it. Another aspect of inclusivity is that I don't only teach Wikipedia, but also discuss the open knowledge movement, the Wikimedia movement, and other wiki projects like Wiki Commons and Wikidata. I also make sure to collaborate with other projects in the movement, like Wiki Project Medicine's translation efforts and Women in Red by Wiki Women. Can you believe we didn't have any women's health category till this year? So it's important to note that in 2015, a second course opened at Tel Aviv University based on the same model. So now every undergraduate student at Tel Aviv University from any discipline can take my wiki course. Hopefully, the course model will be adopted in other institutions around the world. Finally, some exciting news that you'll be the first to hear. Next year, I'll be opening a wiki interest group for the American Med program at Zachar, which will focus on Wikipedia, Wikidata, and academic research around it. And what can you do to help? Join us in our efforts to enhance medical content in wiki projects, because every single one of you counts. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Shani. And up next is Mackenzie. Mackenzie, are you there?
I'm sorry, I still have myself muted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So hi, my name is Mackenzie Mack, and I am one of the co-lead organizers with a group called Art and Feminism. Art and Feminism is an initiative that was started in 2014 to increase coverage of women and women editors on Wikipedia, coverage and participation of women and women editors on Wikipedia. So this is me. And I love metrics and activities, so it's perfect that I'm able to present for this meeting today. And before I kind of get into talking about some of the things that we've accomplished with Art and Feminism, I wanted to share a tweet with you that went viral about 2 weeks ago. And this tweet particularly was shared by someone who was looking at O Magazine and saw this photo essay by the photographer's name was Chris Buck, and it was this photo essay called "Let's Talk About Race." And one of the reasons that this photo essay was so compelling was because it was switching, reversing the roles of women of color and white women. And people found that to be particularly interesting to think about this world in which you show up to a store or you show up to work and you don't see yourself represented. And so when we think about that, the question that we have is what happens when people don't see themselves in history? What happens when they don't see books that are written about them? What happens when they don't see themselves on television? and they only see really histories and narratives of a dominant group or a dominant class. So in 2011, the Wikimedia Foundation did a survey, and it found that less than 13% of editors on Wikipedia were women, right? So that's a really interesting number. And when you think about that, what happens to content when it isn't written by persons who have experiences or have similar experiences, for example, women who have very specific kinds of experiences that aren't written about, that they're not writing, what you tend to see is then content that is skewed and content that doesn't cover them as often or doesn't cover their or their accomplishments. And you see histories in which those histories are attached to their husbands or attached to their lives as mothers, but we don't see as much of an attachment to things that they've accomplished in their lives. So in 2014, a group of friends came together, and out of this conversation about women and editing in Wikipedia, they started Art and Feminism. And so what we do is we hold editathons around the world, and these editathons teach women how to edit. And so this year, in the month of March, because we hold our events simultaneously in the month of March every year, we've had over 200 events, and that has been in 42 countries with over 2,500 participants and 6,500 articles that have been contributed or improved, which is double the amount of what our output was last year. So we're growing. But when we think about the things, the ways in which we want to improve, our goal is to continue to grow in terms of getting more trans women involved in editing, more women of color, more queer women involved in editing on the platform. So some of the ways that we've done that is we've created online a toolkit for organizers who want to organize with us. So anyone at any time could have access to that toolkit and can organize their own editathon, can use the resources that we provided so that they can hold events wherever they are in the world. And so that work has led us here. And so I'll end just kind of by saying that our impact, or really what we're really proud of in the work that we're doing currently, is being able to have the opportunity to see new editors come into a room, not thinking that they could ever write anything on Wikipedia, let alone open a browser and go to Wikipedia in an effort to not really find information, but to add information. To see them go from not thinking or not confident that they have that ability to editing on the platform, telling their friends about it, and seeing how important this kind of information activism is on the internet is a really incredible experience. So thank you so much for taking this time to listen to my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you both for presenting, and we have some foundation highlights now. Yes. In the past month, we had a MediaWiki Documentation Day and Write the Docs SF meetup. There are some efforts put into documentation for MediaWiki, and we are going to be hosting maybe an event about this in the near future to share what we learned at Write the Docs, and also to understand better how we can collaborate better on documentation. The 2017 board elections the voting has closed on May 14, and thank you to all of you who have voted, because your voice matters always, all the time. And we welcome our new board members, Maria Sefidari, Darius, and Doc James. Thank you. I had a blank moment. We celebrated a MediaWiki Hackathon in May 19 to 21 in Vienna, Austria. And the Wikimedia Foundation Engagement Survey is closed on May 20. And this is a means to identify ways in which we can increase individual and organizational engagement with the foundation. And coming up in June, we have the Funds Dissemination Committee. This is a volunteer group that seeks to vote on assignment of Wikimedia Foundation grants. And IberoConf 2017 is celebrated June 10 to 12 in Buenos Aires. This is the regional meetup for chapters and user groups from Latin America, Spain, and Italy. And with that, I pass it on. Okay.
Testing, am I good? Am I live? There we are. Hello. I am Joe Mattazzoni. I'm the collaboration team product manager, and I'm here to demo something today called the New Filters for Edit Review, which the collaboration team released recently to beta. It's a suite of improvements to the recent changes page designed to help edit reviewers and, as today's theme, new users. But first, I wanted to impart some wisdom that I learned in the course of this project from our esteemed colleague, Aaron Halfacre, whose work features prominently in the new filters. And it's that good is more common than bad. In fact, it's a lot more common, as you can see from the numbers on the screen, and I hope that we all think this is true in our lives. But from Aaron, I know that it's true on English Wikipedia, where some trollers would be surprised to learn, I think, that good edits actually outnumber bad ones by more than 99 to 1. Aaron, of course, is the data scientist who is behind ORS, the machine learning program. That's a big part of the New Filters beta. This, in my roundabout way, brings me to my subject, which is that the New Filters is really designed to around two main problems. The first has to do with this. And it's that, it relates to the fact that every day on English Wikipedia, every day on all the wikis, there's human editors make 500,000 edits, and that is a big pile of edits that need to be reviewed. And while it's reassuring to know that only, as we saw in the figures just now, 0.4% of them are vandalism or otherwise bad, that's about 2,000 edits in 500,000. That's also a problem. That's a needle, if you can't tell. So problem number one is that we need to help reviewers to find the needle of bad edits in the haystack of good edits that are out there. And to do that, warning, metaphor switch here. Edit reviewers have always used power tools of different types, like this man who's clearing down trees with a chainsaw. But of course, so power tools like Huggle or RTRC, et cetera. But that brings up the second problem, which is that when not used with care, power tools can do harm. And again, as many of you probably know, Aaron has done a lot of research in this area, showing that new editors in particular, who are summarily reviewed and rejected, have a tendency, much greater likelihood of withdrawing from wiki work. And this problem, of course, is more acute when this type of power tools that I just mentioned are used, which can be a little indiscriminate. And of course, the power tools I'm talking about don't lead to the type of devastation we just saw, but they do contribute to the type of anemic new editor retention figures that we have seen in recent years. This is a graph of second-month active editors, which means editors who keep editing a month after they registered. And as you can see, without going into a lot of details, it's not going in the right direction. Over the last months, the collaboration team has been working with these two goals in mind to increase the efficiency of edit reviewers and help them work through that haystack while also protecting new users. We've done this. To do this, we started with the recent changes page, which is one of the main locations where edit review happens in MediaWiki, one of the primary tools. And the improvements we made fall into three main categories. We completely redesigned the interface. However you say his last name. Completely reimagined the interface so that it's both much more user-friendly with a lot more description and logic to it, but also more powerful in that it now really gives editors a lot more control over the types of edits they include and exclude in their searches. We added a lot of new features that I'll demo in a minute. And this is really the first project to, maybe most notably or most excitingly, it's really the first product to fully make ORs available for use by general audiences. We put a lot of effort into making it easy to understand and to use. And in particular, it's the first time that OR's good faith test has been available to the public. And of course, that's important in finding the good users that we just talked about. So now I'm going to go to demo. If you can switch me over, Brendan. You got it? Okay, so that's the recent changes page. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's basically a search page. The bottom is a reverse chronological list of all the changes that have happened recently to the wiki. We did not actually touch that part. Up above are the tools that let reviewers filter that and narrow their results. This menu, which is new, lists all the various filters that let you do that. Some of these are new. As you can see, if I make a selection, it's reflected up here in what we call the active filter display area, and that lets you get a quick read of what your settings are. This button here is the highlight menu, or brings up the highlight menus, which lets you add color coding. Oops, that was a bad choice. Color coding to your edits in order to, let's see, what's one that, I don't know, to highlight the things that you're most interested in, the edit qualities you're most interested in, make your results more meaningful. These up here are the filters that, are powered by ORs, the contribution quality prediction and the user intent predictions. User intent predictions makes predictions about edits as to whether they were made in good faith or in bad faith. The quality predictions make edits about whether the edits are good quality or bad, or have problems. Problems can be anything from outright vandalism to formatting errors, something like that. So both of these are making probabilistic predictions. As we said, we put a lot of work, or as I said, we put a lot of work into trying to make this understandable and useful to a general audience. And the solution we finally arrived at was to sort of define a series of filters along a range of probability from, in this case, from good to have problems, or very likely have problems, going through may have problems and likely have problems. And now I'm going to give you a quick demo of how you might use these tools. I'm going to restore the defaults to do a little vandalism hunting. So I'm going to get rid of these two because I'm just not that interested in them. For now, I'm going to select the broad may have problems filter. So now everything I'm looking at is a edit by a human that may have problems. So that's a good list, but I might want to prioritize it a little more, so I'm going to use highlighting to do that. And I'm going to color code my problems kind of in order, I guess, of urgency. I'm going to make the likely have problems yellow, the very likely have problems orange, and the very likely bad faith red. So now everything I'm looking at is, as I said, may have problems, but the ones with the most intense colors are the ones that are really probably bad. That's page blanking. Here's, I'm afraid to bring one of these up because, of course, you never know what it might be. And just to show you the difference between sort of coloring it versus, I could have filtered it, very likely have problems. And I could do that by doing this. It's doing its magic. And now you see, so you never want to filter and color at the same time, because now these are all edits that very likely have problems. And you can see over here in the left side, the dots that are multiplying show me the different characteristics that apply to those edits. So that's one way of using this, but as I said, for a second demo, I'm going to do something a little bit different. As I said, we're, traditionally edit review focuses on problems and bad actors, but of course we're also interested in supporting people who are trying to be helpful and do good. So for this one, I'm going to, and so we've added a number of features that help to highlight that type of thing, and I'm going to use this now to find new users to thank, and I'm particularly interested in new pages. So let's see, I'm going to just leave up page edits and page creations this time. I'm going to search for very likely good faith and very likely good, and I'm going to highlight my page creation. By the way, if you ever forget what these are, there's rollovers that tell you all what the different filters do. I'm going to highlight my page creations in blue, and because I want to know who's a newcomer or not, I'm going to use the newly defined newcomer filters. I'm going to make that green, and I'm going to bring another new category we defined called learners. They're also pretty new. I'm going to make them green. Okay, so now everything here is a good edit in good faith by a human, not a bot. And the page creations, we see any are blue, right? And if I see something that's blue and green, it means it's a page creation by a new user, which I'm not seeing any right now, but trust me, it happens. So that's how and then I might go and decide to thank all these good users who are making good and good faith contributions to Wiki. So back to the slides. So this is still in beta. We're still working on this. Over the next quarter, we're going to add a lot of great new features. It's kind of complicated, so we're going to let people save settings. That should come out in a week or so. A reverted filter, which will be super useful, but might have to wait a little longer. We're actually going to add a real-time updates thing to it, so it'll work a little more like RTRC, for those of you who know that. When we get this all working the way we like it, we're going to bring it to the watch list and maybe some other review pages and a lot more other features that reviewers are still asking for. I want to give a little credit to the collaboration team, who are an amazingly talented group whose working style matches their team name, and of whom I'm very proud to be a member. That's a couple of emeritus members there too, but they're still in our hearts. And give it a try. As I said, we're still working on this. We're very interested in hearing your opinion. There's links here to our talk page. We're very much listening, and to the project pages and our fabricator list and all that stuff. And that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now over to Aaron and Emily Templewood for their piece. Aaron, do you want me to click for you, or?
No, I got this. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So today I'm going to show you folks a measurement, which is perfectly in line with the metrics meeting, something that I'm really excited to show you. But before I get into this, not everybody would be familiar with Emily Templewood. So Emily, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, so I'm Emily. I live in Chicago, or the suburbs thereof. I'm a second year medical student. I just finished my first year. And I'm the founder of Wiki Project Women Scientists, and that's been my focus for the past 5 years on Wikimedia projects. I've been editing English Wikipedia for the past 10 years and a couple months as of this April. And I also serve as an arbitrator and an administrator and some other fun stuff. So yeah, nice to meet you all.
All right, and there's a big story that Emily is going to have to tell you. But before we get into that, I'm actually going to tell you, we're going to put this together a little bit backwards. Because when I took this measurement, I wasn't that familiar with Emily's story. So I'm actually gonna tell you this from my point of view, where I took some measurements, found some interesting stuff, and then became familiar with things later. So you're gonna follow the process the same way that I did. Okay, so let's see. So let's start with this measurement. There's this thing called ORS, and Joe was just talking about this. Essentially what it does is it takes a wiki thing and makes some prediction. And so, like, for example, it can take a diff. And so on the left, we're seeing here an edit to a Wikipedia article about dog intelligence, and it says it changes a reference to llamas grow on trees. We can send that edit to ORS and ask it if that edit was good or bad, and ORS will tell us this edit's probably bad. But we can also actually have ORS make predictions about a lot of other things in the wiki, such as an entire article. So for example, if we give ORS the article on biology, and we can ask it to make a prediction on this wiki project assessment scale, which is a scale that Wikipedians use to assess articles by their overall quality level. And in this case, ORS will tell us that this article is a borderline featured article quality level. And so it turns out that currently biology is labeled as a good article, but that label came back in 2013. And so ORS is saying, you know, I'm not sure, but maybe it's time to reassess this article. Maybe it's time to promote this article to a featured article class. And before I go forward with this, I gotta give a shout out to one of my collaborators, user Netram. This is the guy who runs this awesome tool on Wikipedia called SuggestBot. He's a researcher. He's currently working as a fellow for the research team. And so there's this paper that he published called "Tell Me More: An Actionable Quality Model for Wikipedia." And this model that we're using in ORS is largely based on his work. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what quality looks like without ORS. So if you go to the top page of Wiki Project Biology, you'll see this set of templates that I'm showing you on the left. These Wiki Project templates are used by subject-focused Wiki projects, such as Wiki Project Biology, to tag an article as within their subject space. They also use these templates to rate the article by its quality and importance. And so in this case, Wiki Project Biology said that this article is good article class, GA class, and top importance. But it turns out that this doesn't happen that often. And so the graph on the right is showing you over time what the assessments of this article biology look like. There were a couple of assessments that happened towards the end of 2006, just a couple of months apart. One put it at a B class, and then the next one put it at a good article class. And then there was another assessment at the beginning of 2010, and that put it at a good article class. But the rest of this dashed line space is, we just don't know. And so that assessment that happened in 2010, it was actually repeated in 2013. We just don't know what the quality of the article was after that point. And a big reason is because this is exhausting. It takes a long time to read through an article, especially a relatively high quality article, and assess it for its overall quality level. And so it takes a huge amount of work. We just can't do it that often. However, with ORS and with this prediction model that I'm telling you about, we can do assessments for every single version of the article. And so we have, without ORS on the left, we have 3 assessments for this article on biology. But on the right, we have, gosh, I never actually counted this up. Let's just say it's thousands, thousands of assessments of the article on biology. And we can see a much more nuanced picture of how that article has developed over time. So there's a cool thing that we can do with this model. It's not just about assessing individual articles, but we can assess content spaces. And so when I was first playing around with this model and playing around with ORS and measuring the quality of things in Wikipedia, I thought that, hey, what would be a fun content space that I could look at? I know that there are some initiatives around Wiki Project Women Scientists, but I don't really know much about them. I just know that that was kind of interesting and it came out recently. How about I compare the overall quality level of articles about women scientists to the overall quality level for all articles in the encyclopedia? And what I found was actually really striking. So in this graph, we're looking at that quality gap, the quality difference between articles about women scientists and articles across the entire encyclopedia. And so from basically 2005 until 2012, 2013, the gap gets wider and wider and wider. And so Wikipedia is growing in quality a lot faster than this particular subject space is. But then something happens towards the end of 2012, beginning of 2013, and that shifts dramatically. So that now we're looking at a very big surplus where the average quality of an article about a woman scientist in Wikipedia is much higher than the average quality of any random article in Wikipedia. And so I actually presented this at the Wikimedia Research Showcase. This is a monthly event that we do from the research team and with our collaborators. This one was in the December 26, 2016 Research Showcase. The title was English Wikipedia Quality Dynamics in the Case of Wiki Project Women Scientists. And I got to the end of the presentation and I asked the question, does anybody in the audience know what was happening here? And there was this interesting interaction that happened on Twitter where Seco shows up and immediately says, this is Seco Bertus, said, wow, Erin Haviger's research shows big increase in quality of women scientists articles starting in mid-2013. I think the reason is Kaylana, which is Emily Templewood's username. And after a little bit of discussion, we decided that we were going to refer to this sudden shift in quality around women scientists in Wikipedia, the Kaylana effect. And so what the heck happened here? Emily, do you want to tell us?
Yeah. So as soon as I saw the data, I was amazed because around, I'm pretty sure November 2013 was when I first got involved in the area of women scientists history. And Erin showing Anne Bishop, who was a really cool parasitologist, and I could go on a whole long rant about women and malaria science, but I'll spare you that. She was a fellow of the Royal Society, and for Ada Lovelace Day, the Royal Society had released all of their documentation about women scientists that year. So that's kind of the perfect starting point for me. And when I dug a little bit deeper, we found that there were thousands and thousands of articles missing, not just, fellows of the Royal Society or the obvious candidates, but, layers and layers deep. So I asked Sarah Sturch for her advice on how do you do this whole wiki project thing, despite the fact that, I've been a Wikipedian for 5 years already. And she and I got together and started Wiki Project Women Scientists. It was pretty incredible how we went from approximately 1,600 articles at our inception to almost 6,000 now, if I remember my numbers right. And one of the things that really helped was this IEG, the Women Scientists Workshop Development. So I ran a pilot program at my university, Loyola University of Chicago, where I built on the art and feminism type model that we talked about earlier in the session, to get small groups of women really invested and producing really high quality content in a really short period of time. So at each one of these workshops, we would create, a dozen, 20, that, number of C or B class articles. And this started to be replicated, and, the principles of how to, bring people into the project on a really high, achieving level very quickly started to become more popular. And with the advent of Wiki Project Women in Red, founded by my dear colleague Rosie at Wikimania 2015, we've seen a huge increase in quality because, we've not only have we created more articles, but we've created more quality articles. And yeah, like I said, at the end of my grant, it was a really hard road. But working with the grants team was incredible, and having the support of the foundation made it all possible. I wouldn't, I could not have bought that much pizza by myself, nor could I have, done the project management and organization that I managed, while an undergrad, without the support of the foundation. So it's a really nice example of, foundation and community working together to produce a demonstrable increase in quality content. Yeah, so it's kind of awesome.
So thanks, Emily. So
Yeah.
you know, as soon as like we had this conversation on Twitter, and you know, I learned more about Emily's initiatives, I changed the figure as it was uploaded to Commons, and so now if you go find the Kelowna effect figure, it has these annotations on the graph. And so you know, reading through the blog posts about Emily's efforts, I was able to, you know, put the timeline on this graph, and so it helps you understand just how abrupt the change was once Emily started her work. You know, we showed you the article about Ann Bishop and that blog post that was announcing Wiki Project Women Scientists, and I really think that the shape of this then just speaks for itself. So one more thing that I want to say is that I didn't tell you very much about this graph. There's a lot of work that goes into taking these measurements, and I'm sure that there are people in the audience who are really interested in how this came together and looking at how they might take measurements themselves. There's this page that's up on Meta, interpolating quality dynamics in Wikipedia and demonstrating the Kelowna effect. So go check that out, and you can see how this all sort of came together. Okay, so there's a couple of takeaways that I think are really important to take from this analysis and what we were able to recognize about these kind of outreach events. So the first one that I want to push on is, like, this was really cool. I don't think that we really understood how effectively this grant money was being spent. I think that we were perfectly aware that Emily's efforts were being successful. But, you know, I think we should really ask the question about, you know, like, what other projects are being successful like Kelowna's? Like, what other Kelowna effects are out there that we don't know about? Other initiatives that are like hers, or maybe even not like hers, that are also having such a substantial impact. And so this is something that I'm hoping that we can do with this article quality model and this measurement methods. Emily and I talked about building a Kelowna effect detector. And so, you know, maybe if I can find time around all my other projects, I'll dig into that. And, you know, if you're out there and you're really interested in this and you want to work with me on that, then, you know, that would be great. But the last word I want to leave for Emily.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Sorry. So yeah, SECO is the reason this all happened. You know, I conceived of this whole project when I was at Wikimedia Hong Kong. And I want to thank her and all of you for giving an untested weirdo a chance, because without that, this probably wouldn't exist. So thank you.
And with that super interesting story, I'm going to hand it over to Catherine.
Emily, you're amazing. Lots of wiki
You're
love
amazing
to you.
too, Catherine.
Aww.
Aww.
I like your cat too. Thanks for that awesome presentation, and I can't wait to see you again soon, wherever that is. All right. Cool. Hi. I don't have a deck or a presentation. I'm just here to chat a little bit. We thought it might be a good idea to just check in. It's been about a year that I've been in this role, and I thought it would be nice to provide an update and perhaps some reflections on how that year has been. And with apologies to our community members who are hanging out on IRC and watching this, I'm mostly going to talk a little bit about how things have been at the foundation, because we know that you're doing phenomenal work, and I want to reflect, like, that's amazing. But I want to talk a little bit about what's changed here at the WMF and where we're going. And I really don't know how to follow Kelowna because she's totally awesome. So I have a couple notes, and I'm just going to pull them up. All right. So the reason I wanted to chat too is kind of, I get this feeling that we've been moving really fast lately, and that things have been, there's been a lot on. No matter where you look, people are busy. I hear all the time from folks that they are have so much going on that it's sometimes hard to sort of take a moment to stop and breathe. And I think that it's important for us to actually create these moments in order to recognize all the incredible things that are happening, right? Whether it is stories around the Kehlani effect, whether it's the new, I'm sorry, not a catchy title, I hate to say that. But purposely not a catchy title, that's great, okay, cool. New filters for edit review. Thanks, Joe. All of the things that have been happening at the foundation and all the things that have been happening in the movement are actually really remarkable when you sort of stop to think about this incredibly vast, spinning, expanding ecosystem that we work on and work in and support, and this remarkable community that we're a part of. And the reason I wanted to pause today, sort of a year into sitting in the executive director's seat, is because a year ago we were in a really different place. And I just want to sort of take a moment to acknowledge that. Right? We just heard this presentation about what Kehlani has done, and we talked a little, and she was talking about how important it was for her support from Seco, and it gave me this moment of sadness because Seco's not with us, working with us anymore. I mean, she's still doing great stuff in the movement, but she's no longer day in and day out in our offices and part of our community here as a staff community. And a year ago, we sort of found ourselves in this tough place. We'd lost about 30% of our board members, almost 80% of the executive team, and a number of other folks who are big holes, even today, you know, folks and faces that we miss every single day. And we've come a really long way at the same time, and that's just sort of what I wanted to speak to. And we needed some time to sort of pull ourselves back together, and I am excited to see that that seems to be happening. So we just took the engagement survey results a year in. They are actually really consistent with where they were a year ago, which is great. We've made some real sustained and lasting progress. When I started in this space, I just want to say thank you too for supporting me and trusting me to step into this role. It meant a lot. The board gave me four priorities and responsibilities, and those were to rehire the executive team, to launch a movement strategy process, to partner with the board for its success, and to right the ship at the foundation. So any one of those things in a year might have felt like a lot. So it's been a really busy year, and I just want to talk a little bit about, from my perspective, what we've accomplished, because that is a ton of stuff. And the first is really just around building structures and improving the way that we work at the foundation. I was amazed. When I joined, I think there were 180 people. We're now at 300 people, and we built a huge amount of that growth out in those last 2.5, 3 years that were really hard years. And a lot of that structures that you need to sustain an organization as it goes through that transformation weren't built alongside that growth. And so part of what we've been doing over the course of the past year is trying to rebuild some of those structures, try to understand what has been missing, and backfill in ways that allow us to run our organization more effectively, provide support where we need it, understand how we mentor and grow and develop people, train our managers so they have the support that they need, give people clarity around the work that they're doing, refactor our quarterly reports or quarterly check-ins so they actually bring value to teams. I mean, there's just been a tremendous amount of work that's been done under the surface. And I want to call out specifically the incredible work that the talent and culture team has done around this, right? As I've got this partial list, just the benefits that they've afforded us in the last year alone around remote working, parental leave, shared and pooled sick time, and equitable holidays have been phenomenal. So thank you, TNC. And I don't know how many of you spend time reading the FDC feedback on our annual plan. I was right before coming into this meeting. And yes, the FDC made some really good points about how we are measuring the work that we do and the smart metrics that we can use. But wow, we've already made such an incredible improvement there. I want to specifically call out the reading team, which introduced as part of their quarterly check-ins a separate meeting all on the metrics that they're seeing in their products. And that is something that I'm seeing adopted by the editing team as something that they'd like to introduce, and that's phenomenal. We should be spending the time to understand the impact that we're having. And I know that that's not just these teams. I know other teams are doing this too, but we've made real progress there as well. And not just neoliberal crazy metrics around project success where everything has to be measured. These are empathetic metrics that incorporate both qualitative and quantitative aspects to them. And I think that that's really important because we're not just here for the KPIs, we're here for the community. But it does help for us to understand where we're making progress and where we're not, as we just learned in terms of the quality of articles. The values process that we went through, that was phenomenal. Almost everybody in this organization participated in that in some way, shape, or form, and members of our community participated in that too, to help us understand not just sort of what organization we want to be, but also the organization that the community would like us to be. And I was talking about this a little bit with Victoria this morning, and she rephrased it to me as, the community wants us to be the highest integrity institution we can be. I thought that was really lovely. And I think that's something that we can all aspire to. I'm not suggesting that needs to be a new value, Anna, don't worry. But I did like the way that she phrased it, because I felt like that was in some way capturing what it was that we got out of that values process. Staff inclusion and diversity. I have been thrilled with the fact that we've launched this. I am so appreciative of all the work that Angel has done to support the Snaps, awesome. The employee resource group. I want to encourage folks, if you haven't registered to participate in Pride yet, the deadline, is it today? It was yesterday, oh no. All right, well, for all of you who are participating, that's awesome, please do. And I also want to acknowledge that there have been some parts of sort of restructuring and organizing that have been difficult. I want to say thank you to all the people who've participated in the product and tech team tune-up. I know that there were more than 90 people who spoke with Anna. I know that that was something that not everybody has not everybody is fully on board with some of the suggestions that came out of that, and I just want to respect and acknowledge that. But I also want to say thank you for moving forward. And I am looking forward to what we learn as those new sort of structures fall into place and what we get out of them. And hopefully recognizing that if we do move into this sort of new structure and it's not working for folks, that we can also continue to evolve and iterate and change as the work dictates and as our needs and our audience dictate and as we learn about how to be more effective. But thank you, because I know that it hasn't been always easy. So I really just want to appreciate that. And I also want to speak to the fact that we've hired we've hired 3 new executives. And we still have some work to go, and I have some work to do around bringing on a full executive team. With the addition of Victoria and Eileen and the confirmation of Jody and Anna in the talent and culture team, that's actually at a rate of about 1 person or 1 team every 2.5 months, which is, it feels like it's been a long time, and it has been a long time. In my email the other day about the chief of communications role, I just want to acknowledge that this departure of our executive and leadership team over the course of the last 2 years really had a sustained impact on our organization. And we have had phenomenal interim leaders who have stepped up to the plate and have done an incredible job leading their teams through and leading this organization through. And I often reflected as we first got sort of coming out of this transitional period on the fact that that team together had more collective years at the Wikimedia Foundation. I think it was like 25 years of collective experience at the Wikimedia Foundation, which is incredible, and I genuinely don't think we could have done it without them. So I just want to say thank you to the entire executive team, interim and otherwise, for being just great allies, and I really appreciate the work that they've done. And I hope that, yeah, sorry, okay. All right, so that was just the first bullet, wasn't it? So yeah. And then the other things that the board asked for, and all of these are really important, are the movement-wide strategy process. So I know we've talked a lot about strategy, so I'm not going to talk about the process itself. I'm going to talk about how incredibly amazing it is that we are talking to thousands of people around the world to understand what their vision of the future of free knowledge looks like. Thousands of people in dozens of languages on every continent. Experts in technology, experts in cultural institutions, experts in the arts, experts in diversity and inclusion. We have gone out and sat down and listened to or interviewed or had conversations with, our communities have had conversations with, we've had conversations with our communities, we've flown people into Berlin, we've done workshops with open technology, what's it called, open space technology. We have no idea where it's going. We have every idea where it's going. It is, I was talking to a strategy expert the other day who was like, do you see it as a blob on the horizon? And I said, yes, a blob on the horizon sounds right. She said, great, you're on the right track. We have no idea where it's going. We have every idea where it's going. We know it's going to be completely aligned with our values and our future. We know that the people who show up are exactly the right people to be there. We know that the only outcome that comes out of it is exactly the outcome we needed. And I can't wait. I have seen it as this tremendous exercise in aligning ourselves around our values and vision, in having conversation with community members that we haven't spoken to in some time, in elevating the perspective of community members who don't always, or who are not always heard, and in reaching out to community members who aren't yet a part of our community. And through the process, at least for me, I have come to this conclusion that if you share our values, you are a Wikimedian and you might not even know it yet. I think that's a line I stole from Guillaume. So thank you, Guillaume. And so I see this incredible strategy process not just as something that allows us to start building, quarterly check-ins, which we will do at some point, and annual plans, which we will do at some point, but as an opportunity for us to clarify who it is that we think we are and where it is that we think we're going, and at the end of the day, come away inspired about that future and have something that when we go out into the world that we can talk to people about what it is that we're trying to do. Not just build the world's free encyclopedia, but have a sustained, meaningful impact on the availability and quality, breadth and distribution of free knowledge and who participates in it, who builds it, and where they come from. So that is how I've been seeing the strategy process, not as a process of measuring and metrics and building a strategy about where we're going to invest and what we're going to do and how teams are structured, but who we are in the world. And I just want to encourage all of you to please continue to participate. I know that there's a ton of work that's going on, and I know that this is in addition to that work, but I'm so grateful for all of the things that you're bringing to the table already, because this really is about our future. Okay, so that was the strategy process. Hiring the executive team, strategy process, and working with the board. And I just want to say thank you to our trustees and the new trustees that have come on board or are going to come on board through the election. We've been doing work at the board level around thinking about governance and improving the work there, and making sure that the board is more transparent and accountable. And we do now publish all of our board meeting notes and all of our board meeting decks and all of that. So if you're interested in that, please do take a look. And I know that our board has made a real effort to come to the foundation and understand who we are, with our chair and vice chair attending our all hands. And I think that that's a phenomenal practice and something we want to continue, because we never want to find ourselves in a position again where we're so separate from our trustees and they don't understand where we are and we don't understand where they are. I think having those open lines of communication is critical to making sure that our movement works, because at the end of the day, we are an organization that is in service to our movement, and our movement is an organization that stewards us. I did have a long list of things I want to thank people for. I don't know, I think I've run out of time, right? I think I've run out of time. Okay, well, I do want to say thank you for all of the incredible work that you've done. I want to recognize the fact that we won this remarkable victory, was it yesterday, the NSA case? So that was awesome, and really the person who should get tremendous credit for that is Michelle Paulson, and wherever she is, I hope her ears are burning, because that was her work, her leadership, and her vision to make that happen. And to not understate it, that is the first time that an organization has established standing against mass surveillance. It is a tremendous legal victory, not just for us, but just in terms of overall precedent in the law in this country. So phenomenal. Y'all are amazing. All right, I'm not going to try to go through the list because there is food out there, but I just wanted to acknowledge that one thing. All the other work that I have not mentioned is amazing as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Sati.
So I think we have some time for Q&A.
There's a couple questions from IRC. First one, actually two of them for Joe, on the new filters for edit review. Is this one from Layla? Is this tool only on Wikipedia or all projects?
It's on everything, yeah.
On
it's
all.
on everything. The ORS portion of it is only on Wikipedia and only currently on, is that right? On 10 projects right now. There was a recent blog post about the new filters, so any community that wants to get ORS going on its wikis, there's a process for that, and it just takes volunteer editors to go in and score some thousands of edits, so the system can digest them and recognize the patterns. But yeah, it's on all the projects.
Cool.
Say, Joe, don't we have that on Wikidata? I'm pretty sure that we have it on Wikidata too.
I'm sure, yes.
Okay.
Okay. another question. This is from Tillman. Do we already know which combinations are most popular among editors or which they find most useful?
That is so interesting. No, not yet. It's only been out, really a few weeks. We have instrumented the tool and do intend to do that analysis, and I'm sure that will lead us to some interesting insights and maybe new features or something. The one thing that we are going to do is, as I said, it's coming out quite soon, is the ability to, because there's a lot of tools there, so people are going to be able to save their settings and save sets of settings by name and to declare one of them a default. So I hope to be able to mine that data in particular, and I think that should give us some interesting insights into what people find useful.
Great. That's all from IRC right now.
Any other questions from those in SF, or all y'all looking just real hungry? All right, so nothing else from IRC?
Nothing from IRC.
Cool, so I want one person to do some wiki love, and then I swear I'll release you, please. Anybody? Oh, Edward or Toby? I got two, thank y'all. You can go next. Oh yeah, okay, well.
Totally cheating here a little bit, but I want to send some wiki love to everyone who has signed up for Pride, and to add that the registration is still open, so you can still sign up.
I'm going to give some wiki love to Halfacre, who's just everywhere. Good job, Aaron.
Oh man, thanks, Toby.
Awesome. Oh yeah.
I want to give some wiki love to Catherine for everything that she's done in the last year and for investing in us and our mission and trusting in all of us. So thank you for everything you've done.
And now with that, this concludes May Metrics. Thank you all for coming. Go eat. Bye.